It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off, it's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from Peyton. It's just gonna solidify everything for Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Laura, is going to be able to find these shots true.
Idu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Anvil and immediately comes back with fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
And welcome back, everybody. Another week, another day, another season of CGL. We're in playoff time. We are seeing our teams put the pedal to the metal, get the gas really rearing to go. And we're going over and starting things off with the Diamond tier today. We have Death Blossom, a return team, and really showcasing their finesse throughout the rest of the regular season into playoffs up against Wawa Gaming. Really showcasing some beautiful plays from the regular season into now. Ray, you're here to cast with me, and there's a lot going on today, isn't there?
Yeah, we have plenty of games, so let's go ahead and pull up the schedule. Not only do we have this game going on right now, but you got 2 monitors right now, go ahead and pull up that second game. We got the NA Open Division, we got YE Snowfall going up against the Zodiacs, and then right after this game, we depending on how long it takes, but the game is at 10 p.m. Eastern. We will be doing that on CGL1. It will be EIG Hunters going up against Cuddle Puddle. Loser goes home in that matchup. So that one has a lot on the line. But let's go ahead while we're at it. Go ahead and bring up the bracket since we're talking about the Diamond Division so much. Death Blossom won midseason. They're undefeated. They're the first overall seed. They took out EIG Hunters very easily around number 1. And here they come to face the number 4 seed Wawa Gaming, who, you know, it was a good match. I watched that match, Wawa versus Cuddle, and it was a very close 3-1.
It really was. I casted that match, and it was just down to the wire. And also one of the only games that wasn't a 3-0, because you can see Shelby's team in Stale Ducks were also a 3-0 victory for Shelby's team. Alongside that, they're actually sitting really prettily for round 3, waiting on the winner of tonight's match between Death Blossom and Wawa Gaming. And as you mentioned previously, we have a secondary broadcast coming up on your way for EIG Hunters versus Cuddle Puddle. And that, I mean, the Diamond Division, I'm very familiar with it. These are some really heavy, hard-hitting teams. And to see a team like Cuddle Puddle already in losers in the first round is so surprising. And they have so much more to work towards, especially in that lower side bracket. With that being said, though, that is the update on the Diamond Division bracket here for playoffs. Very high stakes, very high energy. And we are going to be seeing ourselves in a 1-3 today, as always, for playoffs. And no better place to start off, Ray, than Lijiang Tower for that map number 1.
We have to keep in mind Death Blossom gets the first map pick because they are the highest seed overall. So they have chosen to take us to El Clasico. No shockers here. Death Blossom definitely loves, they're a very versatile team, but they love their brawl. So it's just going to depend on what variation of said brawl that we get and how the bans end up shaking out. As we do know, Death Blossom will be the first one to ban. But that's going to be the interesting thing, as Death Blossom overall has had a pretty close to perfect season so far. The only times they've ever dropped maps, from my recollection, is when they're playing Roadhog on King's Row, which has been like 50-50 for them.
Yeah, for sure. And I really do think that with tanks like Roadhog, for example, tanks like Mauga, which is going to be the ban of choice here for Death Blossom, that is, I feel like, has been a big fight. You know, a shift in fights, if you win or lose, is dependent on what tank you're playing and how well you play that tank. Death Blossom, they don't want to play against Mauga. They don't really want to deal with what Mauga can offer, especially in the recent events of some of the recent patch notes kind of indirectly buffing Mauga, right? Carissa having some adjustments made to her crit while she's in Fortify, and that inherently gives Mauga a big up in that matchup. So with Wawa Gaming now holding their ban in their side, they can go for a DPS ban, right? A Cassie, a Hanzo, a Sojourn, a Tracer, all very solid options, or go for that back line. A Kiriko, a Lucio are very popular bans from any of our teams in CGL Season 16.
Yeah, building off that Mauga a little bit too, especially now that Hazard can get headshot while blocking now.
Yes.
So it's even more. That's an even favor more. It was already a pretty good matchup for the Mauga, and it's going to be even greater with that change, as Reaper is going to be the ban. No surprises here. Deadeye for the side of Death Blossom has been insane. I mean, literally, this is the hero that the org and their teams are based off of. Death Blossom, obviously the ultimate for Reaper, so makes sense why you want to get rid of their signature hero.
And I also, as we go into our lineups, right, we'll see Death Blossoms in a second here, as you're looking at that favorite tank is from Mirage, right? And I think with the Reaper being taken out away from Death Blossom, that typically means you don't really want to see that Zarya and Reaper combination. So with that in mind, we also have the rest of our players. Of course, we have JML, we have Deadeye, as you had mentioned previously, we have Mirage, we have Ghostly, and we have Rai coming up on deck here. Cannot wait to see exactly how these guys go, especially with only one support. I'm kidding. You're gonna see Ghostly in that back line with Rai, of course. But with that being said, Death Blossom, they have the work cut out for them, knowing their opponent is Wawa Gaming, and they are not one to be messed with after coming off of a high of a 3-1 last week.
As now we take a look at that Wawa Gaming roster with Pigeon, Momo Monkey, Slashed Castle, Deadly Pants, and Lord Shroom. Again, Wawa they were new to Diamond this season. They didn't compete in the previous season like a lot of these teams had, but they have come in here, made a statement, got top 4. As we kind of talked about, a little surprising that Cuddle Puddle wasn't there. Wawa was, and there's big reasons. So Death Blossom better be ready and prepared.
They have to be, because Wawa Gaming really, again, as a team that just came into the season, playing for the first time against seasoned teams like Cuddle Puddle, as you mentioned, played last season, Death Blossom, and many others, right? It's so interesting, and I love to see new teams really take those reins and showcase what they're good at, right? With that being said, we're loading into Lijiang Tower soon enough. Here are our confirmed 10 players duking it out on Lijiang Tower. Depends on where we go first. Could be Control Center, could be Night Market, could be that Gardens as well. It depends on how these brawl compositions are going to work for either team here, as it looks like they're a favorite between the Zarya and the Junker Queen, of course, from both sides.
All right, here we go, folks. Lijiang Tower, map number 1, starting out on Control Center. So no gardens, which means there's no possibility likely that we get any sort of dive composition. This is going to be Brawl City galore, as we see both teams, you know, highlighting 2 different brawl styles. Wawa Gaming going with that Ramatra on this new patch, got that 25 extra HP, has definitely been a good upgrade for him, give him a little bit more sustainability, has made him a little bit more meta. I mean, especially, you know, with the Orisa changes being bad in Amalga, so the Ram has seen a lot more, as we do see Death Blossom pulling out this Reinhardt, which has been a specialty of theirs.
And I love to see a Reinhardt come out. But into the Ramatra, you know that matchup can be a little bit finicky for Reinhardt to get as much value as he wants, especially with the pierce through that shield, right? But Wawa Gaming meet them in these server rooms, and they go down to the objective proper. And then Mirage comes down to meet the Ramatra, and this is where the Nemesis Storm is going to get popped open, and Mirage is just going to get out pressured by not just the front angle, but by all angles. Momo Monkey on that Genji taking care of the Reinhardt in the general, and the point opening up, getting Wawa Gaming an advantage by capping it first.
And this is kind of the problem with the Ryan going into the Ram, is Slash Castle can just sit there and punch and punch and punch. And Mirage, who was just kind of pushed up, the supports didn't really have good angles to be able to heal him, just kind of gets eaten alive by that. And then you have the follow-up from Momo Monkey with all the burst damage that the Genji provides. It's tough living for Mirage.
It really is. And you can see them trying to go in here, Ray. Mirage is forcing out Art Lamp to be used early on from Ghostly, and Pigeon does get kind of sidelined a bit by JML off of that angle and takes care of the Sojourn early on. So that burst damage from the Soldiers is no longer going to be a factor from Wawa Gaming, but they're going to disengage for now.
Yeah, early picks are just being the death of Death Blossom right now. They got to be very careful about this sim composition. If you're not playing together, it is very easy to get picked off, so you got to be careful.
And you can see that they're scouting out that Sash Castle was a little bit alone in that staircase area, but the flip comes in, but the re-engage is definitely there, and there's a shutdown with the big old slam. The Susan negates one fire strike, but not the second, connecting onto Pigeon and the rest of the company. Wawa Gaming now being held at their spawn, at least momentarily, while Death Blossom set up this Deadeye.
That's a very favorable ult exchange because you window and shatter, you can get those ultimates very quickly, and they traded that for Kitsune Retro. Has been one of those ultimates that they keep adding percentage to make it harder to get. So I think you'll take that if you're Death Blossom.
I love how aggressive Wawa Gaming is playing right now. Lamp used really early on, and again, there's a teleportation, really saving Mirage a little bit from such a sticky situation. But that also opens up this opportunity for this annihilation from Slash Castle to be expended. High Noon from the high ground, from the staircase area, finds no skulls, no deaths, no heads. No tank on the side of Death Blossom, neither is there a Symmetra, and all it takes now is Wawa Gaming to clean up the fray here.
Yes, they're going to get a very late stagger on a Ghostly. Unfortunate, JML will get Monkey, but it's going to be all for naught. And Wawa able to take that point back with only having to use the Annihilation. So just look at all these tools they have at their disposal. If I'm Monkey, I'm looking to get in quick as Rise is getting dangerously close to the sound barrier, but it might be too little too late as the photon barrier gets popped.
Love the photon barrier here, especially against the overclock. Very well done, and the Dragon Blade on top of that. As you mentioned, sound barrier will get used, and very decisively so against the Dragon Blade. Not allowing either side to really find an opportunity to get an opening pick here, right? We only really wasted about 15% to give Wawa Gaming that 82% marker. But here's another continuing rush, and there's another shutdown of the Shatter coming in from Mirage. It's 3 down here, Ray, just to clean up the Kiriko and the Genji.
Okay, to me, I think, great shatter from the side of Mirage, but that was a symptom of Wawa Gaming making a huge mistake, which to me was popping the Blade and the Overclock at the same time, because that basically allowed Rai to get maximum value out of that sound barrier. You want to use one first, force it, and then use the one after it's gone.
Oh, we're walking from the back to the front, and there's the back line of the Kiriko and Genji once again going down in tandem. What a teleport, what a save, what a play pretty much made by Deadeye and JML.
This next fight is going to be crucial for Death Blossom. They don't have anything ult-wise, and Slashed Castle will be coming in with this Annihilation, and Pigeon is now on the Bastion, so that's a lot of shield break. You got to be extremely careful for Mirage.
That's why he's using those walls to kind of give that protection away from that turret form. Unfortunately, the Annihilation is the last resort here for Wawa Gaming. Does get popped, and then everybody basically shuts down Slash Castle while the rest of the team of Wawa Gaming are attempting to get something set up for themselves. Funnily enough, they do get a couple of really favorable strays. The window is being used by Ghostly on this left side, and that's some pressure that you don't really want Pigeon to be under, especially on that big old body of Bastion, regardless of the new size difference that was given to the hurt box of the character. But either way though, Shadows Castle off the Ramasha goes over to Reinhardt here, Ray, and there be an overtime fight that goes in favor of Wawa, which is on the floor from Lord Shroom.
Yeah, they can get ultimates for both sides. It's going to be big. Oh, Bubble goes down with the Blade.
Oh, it's not what you want to see if you're Wawa Gaming. The Blade not able to be used, and the Shatter was there just as a backup.
So close, but I think what that came down to, Mott, was we saw it on the cams. There was one point where it was Rai, Deadeye, and JML. They backed up. They had angles, but they said, okay, we just need to be patient. We need to get our 2 players back. If we just hang back a little bit, they used the Immort to keep themselves alive, and they were just patient, and then they re-engaged, and they made sure they had their full 5 for that final fight, and then obviously getting Mobile Monkey down before that Blade coming out. I think to me, that's them ult tracking perfectly, and in their head, they knew, we got to get this Genji down, Blade is coming soon, and it was great focus fire.
I had to agree with you. Being able to take care of a fight-changing ultimate like Blade was fantastic. we do see Wawa Gaming now going over to a whole different composition. We're going to see a pseudo dive coming out here with the Hazard and of course that Genji alongside that Wu Yong. And I also love Death Blossom already posturing on the objective, positioning themselves with that Smith turret, giving them that speedy engagement tool. Speaking of engagement tools, teleport around to the Genji, force up that dash and separate that Genji and Wu Yong from this trifecta going on here with the Hazard, the Fashion, and the Kiriko. With that being said, Sash Castle is going on the engagement onto Deadeye, and that's the opening pick, trading off for Momo Monkey. A matter of the fact is, while we're giving half the point here, Ray, they can really just stall out and get some late-minute kills if need be, like on JML, who's so low at the moment.
Yeah, they did force Deadly Pants away from this entire fight, so you have an opportunity to possibly re-engage them. They're completely separated from two of their players. I feel like Death Blossom could just coalesce on this team, but they're just waiting. They're waiting for that TP to go in.
Oh, and they're going in here onto the coastline of things, and there's also the lamp, so it allows this Reinhardt to get so overly aggressive with little to no real danger. And look how quick this fight really lasted. 1-2, we're in, takedown 2, clean up 3, and we flip the point at 34 for 33%.
That's the one thing that Death Blossom has been very smart about, is they're okay giving up a point, giving up percentage. Like that trade there, they go, okay, we're just going to give up the point. Wow, what a great exiting pick on the Lurchin. That's just so much more free percentage bot. But they're willing to give up the point, be patient, and wait for the superior fight and clean that up very quickly. So, like what I'm seeing, they are going to have to be dealing with this downpour for this next fight, however.
And Mirage could block it, of course, with that big old shield. And with that being said, you can teleport out of the fray early on with Deadeye, but that requires so much precision that Sonic should ideally on paper have a really good downpour here, which is definitely going to be used, but as I said, the shield blocks it almost completely from the Reinhardt, making sure that Sash does not get any of that value that we were looking for. And why not a slam dunk onto that front line, into the back line, and continue to have 50% at this point under the belt of Death Blossom.
Yeah, the Genji from Momo Monkey, this map seems to not be finding its value. Deadeye on the sim is just completely set up. The turrets can be bothersome for a Genji, and Deadeye can just build up that beam charge and you'll melt Momo Monkey in an instant. Wawa Gaming is going to have both their support ultimates to go on, so maybe you can go with like a tidal wave blast with your blade, but it's a lot of investment. This is your final fight, and Death Blossom still's got 4 of those ultimates to be able to combat.
I know, and J-Mo's just styling with that little inspect, and then Deadly Pants dies. Thankfully, the Tidal Blast does go off, and they commit onto Pigeon. There's no stun, there's no kill, there's nothing. In fact, we get pinned for trying to go for an angle here. 2 down, by the way. We put the point, and the continued rush will be committed here from Lord's Room, so she stayed in this little coast area, and we see the Genji committing onto Deadeye, but Mirage in the thick of it takes care of the Hazard, leaving these guys without a tank. They're naked in the front line. There's a blade hat being popped open, but everyone's so spread out that Momo Monkey cannot find anybody consistently with the Dragon Blade. Photon Barrier is being used here, and the Tracer is definitely putting some angle pressure onto Mirage, but that beautiful use of shield dancing between the shield and his own is doing wonders for him to survive this long.
And you got TP and Suzu forced out. Shatter comes out, finds Slash Castle. Can they find more? You get the pin off of the... I mean, you basically force out a blink, but you're going to take those trades. Dead Blossom flips the point. It did cost them their window, though, but you'll take it.
Not too shabby. 10% away to full completion. There's no Pigeon to touch, so it comes all down to the shoulders of Momo Monkey. The Sound Barrier is going to be used here just for some extra safety. And Death Blossom with the Deadeye to make that space happen. There's absolutely no way Wawa Gaming can come back from this. The Deadly Pants comes in, and then boom, shot down. With that being said, a 2-0 here for Death Blossom on the side of Lijiang Tower. And they are looking fantastic with already 1 point on the scoreboard.
The one thing I will say, if you're Death Blossom, you know, nice 2-0 win. It was very close. Both of those points came, I mean, the first one was basically 99-99, and the second one was 99-80. So Wawa's definitely giving you a run for your money. So Death Blossom, you know, is definitely going to have to continue to put the pressure. There's going to be no situation where they're going to be forced to relax. They're going to have to be on their A game the entire time, because if they aren't, Wawa will continue to apply the pressure, and they might look to be taking some apps off and maybe win the series if Death Blossom, lets up a little bit.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I knew I became a believer when we kept seeing these shatters consistently shut down how big these rushes should have been. 3 being shattered and stunned down in that engagement. You saw a whole lot more. This really sneaky backline play of the Deadeye from JML. Absolutely fantastic work from Death Blossom. And they had a rocky kind of start, you know? They had the Ramattra that was giving them some trouble from Slash Castle, but once they really got to working their teleportations back in, they were getting that synergy back in their favor, they really just ran rampant right all over Wawa Gaming. This secondary round here, I think, showcased that the best.
The big question for the side of Wawa is they're going to have map control in their favor and ban control in their favor. So, like I mentioned, Death Blossom, a very versatile team, but maybe you take him away from maps where Brawl and Reinhardt's going to go crazy. Like, yeah, I'd be thinking of like, you know, like a Gibraltar kind of situation or just something where you're probably not going to be playing that. And we do have that map pick in. It is going to be Circuit Royale, which I do think generally speaking, you're probably not playing Ryan on this map. I'm sure, you know, if you're good enough, you might be able to force it, but it's definitely not optimal. So I think this is a good map choice coming in from Wawa. But I think what's going to be more important is the ban choice.
Yeah, I really love teams that kind of just go for a map type that completely like just inhibits any sort of non-meta playstyle like Circuit Royale. You want to play poke, maybe even a little bit of someone else, a little bit of Hazard, a little bit of Ball can also be played there, but definitely you're gonna see not a lot of Ryan get played there, as you mentioned. That being said, Wawa Gaming do have that first ban in tow. In 25 seconds, we're gonna see where they want to guide their ban to. And it could be a safe ban, you know, right? It can be a ban onto a Widowmaker. Both teams actually having Widowmaker specialists on their rosters. They also have a Freya ban that could also come into fruition, or they can go for something that is a little bit more. Oh, there it is. Okay, yep. Why do I speak, Ray? Just ban Freya and everything turns out well enough.
I mean, Freya.
It's Freya.
I will say, just a little peek behind the window. I do play for the Plat team of Death Blossom's org, and they were scrimming us last night to try and help us for our match. Just trying to help. JML has a nasty Freya, so not surprised that's getting banned from the side of Wawa, especially on a map like Circuit Royale where that can just go absolutely insane. So the question is, how does Death Blossom look to respond? I would think about considering a Ramattra ban. That's totally fine on this map. You know, Ramattra can brawl if needed, has that sustain, but can also poke from a distance on a more poke style map like Circuit Royale. But you know, maybe they're looking to ban another hit scan like a Widow or an Ashe or something. I mean, Ashe is almighty powerful, but they are going to ban the Wu Yang, which we did see that come out of Wawa on the last map, and Death Blossom did not run it. So,
yeah, for sure. And I was kind of gearing towards a support ban, a Baptiste, and a Yari, a Wu Yang, kind of characters that do typically perform well on Circuit Royale, especially that Yari and Baptiste. Oh, on defense, it's a nightmare to try to break those two apart and break open that defense phase. That being said, it looks like we are looking at our head-to-head. Again, the Wu Yang and Freya being banned out here. Very smart bans, in my opinion. But this also kind of means you have a really big opening for that backline, right? It can be the Kiriko and Lucio. It can definitely be, of course, that aforementioned Baptiste and Iyari. It can go classic mode, Ray, and go for the Baptiste and Zenyatta. Would love to see my man come back. But that being said, our head-to-heads are locked and loaded. No swaps needed. Just the same 10 players duking it out for the love of the game. We're loading in soon enough. Cannot wait to see exactly what we start off with on, I'm going to say Legion Tower, on Circuit Royale.
I am very excited. Interestingly enough, I think Circuit has been a map we're starting to see a lot more. And I think it's one of those where, you know, you face a team who's comfortable in a certain comp, and this map can kind of be a curveball to a lot of teams. Where it's also a map like I'm not clamoring to play this map in scrims, you know what I mean? So it's not necessarily going to be a super practiced map. Is more of what I'm trying to say.
No, truth nuke on that one, actually, because I also rarely ever scrim Suka Royale unless it was, you know, in the map pool for a random tournament we were competing in. It's very rare to really see people want to scrim this of all escort maps ever, right? So as we load into at least the spawn area, we can see a Slash Castle hovering over D, but we also have, as I was predicting, Pigeon and JML in that Widowmaker duel, as both of which love that Widowmaker, love to play her, are specialists in the character in their own right. Death Blossom looking very interesting. That Bapping Yari, as I mentioned, I'm glad to see it from Ryan Ghostly. And Deadly Pants is on Zenyatta, coupled with that Kiriko from Lordshroom. It's a very high impact backline, I would say.
To me, for Death Blossom, it's just all about playing the pick, which makes sense on this map. Mirage on the SIG to be able to give, you know, your different hit scan shields. You're running two, you know, essentially hit scan supports who can look for shots and look for kills. JML's on the Widow, and then you have Torb to deal with any kind of flankers or nonsense like this. Huge rocket castle's already demeched.
Demeched and then shut down immediately. I mean, that's a classic play to go above that building and then try to find an opening pick, but it didn't work this time for Slash Castle, and the follow-up is unfortunately not there because JML was kind of just running rampant as a server admin, taking heads off and forcing a big swap here. Snipers, Hanzo, and Ramatra now on the scene for Wall Gaming, as well as the Baptiste.
I'm sorry, Ma. I am not a fan of going over the top like that. It's just so expected now. Everyone knows about it and are ready for it. So, like, to me, that just needs to get put back in the box and put in the closet. Like, sorry, it's not getting the value it used to.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Once you got used to it, it's a done deal, baby girl. Ball, I expect. Diva, I expect. Lifeweaver, I expect. With that being said, they did do some appropriate swaps, in my opinion. The Ramatra, I do like it a lot. You mentioned it earlier, and I'm glad to see it come back from Slash Castle. This Blossom RA force into that secondary corner, and the Nemesis form is furthermore pushing Mirage and company back even further towards this this check mark of the first objective to be capped here. Only about 5 meters left, and actually the Vortex of all things takes care of Deadeye early on. JML gets the beautiful secondary fire and third picks here of the Widowmaker and the Zenyatta, and now we're moving back in with some favor, and oh my gosh, Roma Monkey didn't even have a chance to peek.
Hey, I told you, nasty Frey, you take that away from him, he's like, all right, you've left me no choice, buddy. Time to whip out the French woman herself, Widowmaker, and just headshot after headshot after headshot after headshot. And now for Death Blossom, you've been biding your time, playing patient. You have a lot of ults coming online, but Wawa should be able to pull the first trigger because they're going to be able to have a very early aggressive window coming in this next fight, which, I mean, all things considered, if you get a good placement, cool, but mostly it's just going to buy you space and buy you positioning for the side of Death Blossom.
Mirrored sights are online here, Ray, but JML has pretty consistently been the one in the lead. You can see how much respect either Widowmaker is giving the other. Now, slowly, it's going to go away now, so everyone's back to kind of their usual schedule here, respecting the spaces being made by JML, and of course, Fidget and Momo Monkey. The window we were talking about earlier is being used in that corner, and there is some pressure being put onto Mirage. You have the Flux, and they're going to actually wait to use it, but one good headshot right clean through that window basically eats up 200 of that HP pool, and then, of course, layering that with that Dragon Strike coming in from Momo Monkey completely eats up Mirage at the end of the day. And there's a contest here, but it's a bit messier. We're basically at 20 centimeters away from completion, and they're going to grab it, and they're going to add on another 2.5 minutes that timer. Why not?
Very well positioned and play, as I talked about. You get a good spot for that window, and it's just going to go absolutely insane. They caught Mirage off guard, basically had to burn all the cooldowns and still had time to get a lot of damage down, and then they were just able to follow it up. So very nicely done by Lord Shroom. And now they got to make sure they get control of this high ground area, because you can't let someone like JML just reign control while you're trying to push up this hill.
You really can't, because JML naturally has that advantageous sight line to utilize, but when you are just a poor old Sigma against the hands of the Ramatra, Mirage didn't even have a chance to stabilize, unfortunately. And the window does get used, and you can see the space is still being respected by Slash Castle, but the park payload is still moving either way.
Oh, not close. It's Flux coming online. Let's see if they can find any kills, but it forced out Transcendence.
That's big. Great transitions coming in from Deadly Pants, and it's gonna last another about 3 or 4 seconds. It now has depleted, and now it comes down to this raw power of Momo Monkey's Hanzo. I feel like has been a big really bane against Mirage on the Sigma. The hands can only do so much, and JML goes in for the self-destruct. Then there's another 3.5 minutes here to go all the way to third, and why not change to the Ramatra now? Better now than
I
definitely
was
never.
literally gonna say it feels like that Sigma is just it's tough sledding for Sigma players nowadays. It's just not a lot of situations, especially in competitive scrim scenes like this, where you can get away with it. And then going up against a Ramatra who can just get in your face and punch and punch and punch. It's just not a fun day. As Pigeon gets JML with a headshot, that is a great opening spot, and it's just gonna buy so much space for Wawa.
Oh, look at how much they're respecting the vision from Pigeon, right? JML is gonna come back with, you know, his own sight, and there it is. And of course, Pigeon's not gonna have that information really available to him anymore. And you can see everyone is going to the corner and letting really Slash Castle take over the brunt of that frontline pressure away from the Widowmaker and all that jazz. The Dragon Strike does come in, doesn't really find any kills. Basically just takes care of Ray's Immortality Field, and we are back to a very slow and steady pace here. Love the window to start things off from Lord Shroom. We teleport out to safety, and the Annihilation, once again, Ray, it is online. This could be last fight territory.
Forced all of them back into this corner, so if they push up and get aggressive with this Annihilation, it could go ridiculous.
And it has in the past. And Flash Castle, look at this, just patiently waiting for the pristine opportunity to use it. But Ghostly, y'all forget that Zenyatta is a sniper, and Ghostly just showcased it to the max. That being said, now JML has all of this space to walk around and look and get some headshots onto Lord Shroom. No Annihilation, no nothing coming in from Wawa Gaming. They're going to respect this and wait it out.
Oh, so close. If you were Wawa Gaming this, we see immediate swaps coming in. No, they're swapping. They did that on purpose. They're swapping. Oh, the Mauga coming online. I don't hate this. You know, the amount of, you know, damage resistance and block you get from holding up the hands, you get them on fire and start hitting some crits. Those hands ain't gonna matter that much.
Oh, wow. First of all, the pick on
look at that.
of all things is fantastic. The window is on the left side, however, from Death Blossom. So if you're Slash Castle, you gotta be a little bit more respectful of it, because that damage output onto a naked body like Ramatra of Mauga is not easy to mitigate as easily, especially without a cardiac overdrive.
Still plenty of time if you're Wawa and you just made the swaps onto this composition, so you're not gonna have any kind of ult. So you gotta hope for this next fight you can look. The less likeliness is you're gonna win this. You get a, you know, quick and early pick, but really you're just trying to build to ultimate to try and set yourself up for a final push.
47 seconds left here, Ray. The Photon Barrier is the first thing used. Ghostly just uses the Transcendence off rip. All we have left is the sights coming in from JML, but it looks like, resources-wise, looking really good for the side of Death Blossom. They take care of the Mauga. They inhibit Deadly Pants, not being able to stall on the wall for any longer. It's just the Reaper. It's just the Kiriko. And with 25 seconds left, they could go for one more touch, which is going to be very, very, very tight.
You'll get the touch. Lord Shroom can TP to them, and you should get the Kitsune Rush up in time, but Death Blossom has made sure to at least, you know, they'll have the sights, but that's about it. So JML's gonna at least have a little bit of advantage when it comes to that, but I think the big deal for Wawa is gonna be able to throwing this Kitsune Rush down onto the point.
Oh, and they can't even help Pigeon fast enough. One little dink to the head, and Pigeon goes down to the vortex. JML takes care of Deadly Pants around the pillar. The Kitsune Rush, as you mentioned, as you predicted, is on the floor here from Lord Shroom. But even her ultimate is not going to be enough to sustain these guys without at least 2 other members in the team here. Wawa Gaming have been stopped right before the 3-pointer here for round 1. And Death Blossom, all they have to do is full cap Circuit Royale.
Oh man, so close. It was looking really good for Wawa there for a while, but it felt like once the necessary adjustments were made by Death Blossom, they were able to start holding their ground. They pulled up the Ram. They had Deadeye go over to the Sim, and things started to just work out in their favor pretty heavily. So, and also the fact that they're able to stop them from getting all 3 points when things were looking pretty grim after the first 2 points, and how with relative quickness Wawa was able to do that. You now are in a situation where you could possibly win this map. They didn't cap all 3. You don't have to go to extras. Like this could be, you know, from one situation we're like, wow, Wawa might be able to take this map, and now the blink of an eye, it's like, wow, Death Blossom might actually be in a good position to go up 2-0 now.
I think that's really the impact of a solid Widowmaker from both sides. When Wawa Gaming were in that advantage, it was Pigeon finding some of these headshots, especially onto JML, relieving that pressure from Wawa Gaming. But when Death Blossom, when JML specifically was the one kind of server admining a couple of times in some of these fights, 2-3 picks single-handedly from the Widowmaker, that's where Wawa Gaming was really struggling. I love that they're already sticking onto the Ramatra here for their defense, and Death Blossom, I think they're expecting it, so they're going something very similar here.
All right, I've talked about it many times. I feel like this is almost a must-win for Wawa. They need to stop Death Blossom even sooner than they got stopped. Reverse sweeping is just so hard nowadays in Overwatch 2025. Here we go. Deadeye, I do like the Mei coming out to isolate / castle and give them a bigger advantage in these Ramatra duels.
Oh my, and you see how much damage the secondary fire does with the Discord Orb on top of / castle? I mean, my man can only hold block for so long. Even more so, there is the wall to block off the Symmetra and the Ramatra, and that's the power of that Mei, as you had talked about. Deadeye finds both those eliminations and really clears open the space here for the objective to push way past the halfway marker and really force a last fight on the last corner.
Yeah, Monkey's going to go over to the Mei to try and match us. I was going to say, Deadly Pan should be going over to the Zen. They had great success with it on the attack. Ghostly's just going to give an inherent Ram duel advantage by being able to throw the Discords on there. So you have to take that advantage and at least even it out with double Discords.
Touch happens at the 2-meter marker, but no more, no less. Lamp used very early on from Lord Shroom, and at this moment, we're just trying to make sure we stay alive, and Pigeon cannot say so. JML is uncontested. No Widowmaker, really no problem to stay in the back line and just click heads, click bodies, and get eliminations. That I maybe have gone a little bit too far up, gets taken down by / castle. And with that being said, Mirage is respecting the space. Needs to back up a little bit to the first corner, kind of wait and stall out for Deadeye to come back, or even more so, fully disengage.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the smart thing. It's going to be a lot harder in these fights if you don't have your wall and the ability to slow down the enemy Ramatra quite a bit. So Death Blossom is definitely doing the right thing. Ultimate's coming online. Mirage has the Annihilation. Lucas / Castle just barely 50%. This is where they got to step on the gas.
The aggressive Transcendence almost is something you never really see all that often, and the window was so smart from Lordstrom. It baited out that Annihilation from Mirage, and then everyone basically said, hey, shoot the Ramatra, he will die here. He sure did. What a fight loss that Death Blossom could not have needed right now.
That is a devastating fight loss for the side of Death Blossom, committing both Annihilation and Transcendence in exchange just for the window from Wawa Gaming. JML's going to go over to Sojourn now, which, I mean, obviously doesn't have the consistent threat of the headshot, but you have more consistent damage overall in the railgun. Man, you watch your heads, folks, is all I'm saying.
Watch your heads, watch everything when you see a Sojourn on either side here. Watch Pigeon. Overclock, as you mentioned, Ultra Online. Overclock is one of them, but the Blizzard does get procced early first, and the Transcendence, I love this defensive Transcendence coming in from Deadly Pants. Very smartly used, and now the reversal Blizzard does come through, and the window is there, so the healing output should be enough to keep Mirage alive in the face of being frozen, and we suffered, and it was not like I have taken down for the count. Overclock is the last hurrah from Pigeon, but it's just simply not enough here.
Wow, I was worried about that fight for Death Blossom, you know, because, you know, the obviously the Transcendence was there to deal with the Blizzard, but they got so much value out of that window from Rye. That was mind-blowing.
It was just luck that Mirage happened to be frozen right in front of the window. The healing output was astronomical for the Baptiste, and this fight's already blowing open and starting things off for Death Blossom. They're pushing super far up to make the space work out for the payload. Of course, Wawa Gaming, they know that game plan. They're going to play at this corner, an advantageous corner right on the second objective of Circuit Royale. Overclock now ready for JML to open up. We slide in. Shield is up here, so it does give a little bit of a false protection but not for very long, at least for Ghostly. There's Annihilation. A Redemption Annihilation does come in from the side of Mirage. It does find at least one, but not enough healing output to keep him alive in the fight.
Still have Transcendence available if you're looking to pop that. With Pigeon going down, I might think about doing this because you have the man advantage. You need to get this point delivered quickly. They might not need it with Deadeye getting 2.
They're not gonna need it. Look at this, and you're just seeing Lord Shroom. Hello, Lord Shroom trying to stall a little bit with, of course, the jumping up in the air, but not gonna work out for them. And there's no other touch because what a great wall coming from Deadeye. 3 minutes and 15 seconds, a little bit less than what Gaming had on their attack.
But again, they don't even have to complete the map. They just have to get it to basically that 91-meter mark. They still have, I mean, we saw what they got with the window last time. They're going to have that available. And this time they have the Transcendence to deal with Momo Monkey's Blizzard for this next fight.
That should be enough, and I hope Ghostly does use it in response to a Blizzard, to even an Overclock, something like that. Cart is moving very briskly throughout the first half of third objective. Here's the window, as you were talking about earlier. The Transcendence will be used alongside that Immortality field. With that being said, Owa Gaming are now facing a window of from the side of Death Blossom. They're going to back up. Window into wall, into last corner, losing Slash Castle. There's definitely going to be a they have to regroup here before the cart turns the corner.
Pigeon has Overclock at their disposal. Slash Castle will get this Annihilation and a window. I think Wawa's going to be in the driver's seat for at least this next fight. So I think for Death Blossom, it's trying to force out as many ultimates as you can.
Pigeon Ghostly a little bit in a 1v1 on the pool side. I think Ghostly retreats back to the main area. Overclock, as you mentioned, always is now being used here. I love this flank Overclock from Pigeon, but it's scouted out very early from Deadeye and Ghostly, so everyone is hiding away. There's no value, unfortunately, to be seen. Even more so, the rail shot doesn't really connect onto Ghostly the way that we were looking for. But JML coming in, getting a playbook, or taking a page out of the other Switch's own playbook here. Both Annihilations are being extended, but one has Disco Orb on top of them, and the other one, it goes down by the window from Lord Shroom. We might be able to halt Death Blossom's attack here from Wawa Gaming. All they gotta do is make sure we clean things up appropriately.
Yeah, and there is the fight. I mean, Rye's still alive. Can they take down Pigeon? Oh, it's close, and they do. But I think the players are going to be coming like, yeah, Ramatra's already there. They have to use the Mortality Field just to keep themselves up, and they don't even get out. Disaster for the side of Death Blossom. Now we're down to the final minute. Death Blossom is one fight away from being able to go up 2-0. If I'm Death Blossom, your win condition right here, right now, Mott, is you have to get Deadeye in position to aggressively Blizzard here. You cannot let Deadly Pants build up to this Transcendence before this happens.
I love, on the note of that Transcendence as well, I love that Ryan and Ghostly already basically have the support ultimates online here. A big advantage over Deadly Pants and Lower Shroom, at least for now. They go up from the pool side, go to the right side of the objective. I love it. The high ground being contested by that Sojourn, forcing him off of that high ground, and Pigeon now on the low ground. Now we're walking in down the staircase. You can see how low Pigeon is. You can see how slow Deadly Pants is to walk away from Mirage. We flip the objective. We also have the Blizzard being expended here when they are low-key in an advantage state. Slash Castle is separated from the front and the back line, separated from everybody, and more so gets picked off super late. They have a touch. Here comes the Honor. Here comes the Anti-Nade. Here comes the Transcendence, but there's no one else there to follow up on the touch from the Honor. A little bit uneventful, but Death Blossom at the end of the day secured the 2-0 so far in the series.
Again, it has not been easy for Death Blossom. They've definitely been forced to innovate, change things, been forced to the edge, basically. I feel like Wawa's given them a great fight. Despite the 2-0 series, both maps have been very, very close. So would it surprise me? Like I said, reverse sweeps do not happen that often. But would I be shocked, given how close these maps were, if the right map comes up and the right bends and the right situation, that we find ourselves possibly in a situation where we could be going to possibly map 4s and map 5s? Yes, but I think it's going to depend heavily on Wawa Gaming.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I think this is one of the few matchups in the season that really can have reverse sweep potential, especially from Wawa Gaming. They have surprised us more often than not, and they continue to do so. You know, really bringing it down to the wire. The last fight was, as I mentioned, it was a little bit uneventful, unfortunately, as Death Blossom kind of just did a really great rotation around the back end and really caught Wawa Gaming off by surprise. But Wawa Gaming having such fantastic, this is a great window. Oh my goodness, having fantastic plays in their own right, and depending on where they want to go for this next map, this again needs to be the start of a reverse sweep for them, or else they drop down to losers where they had just really defeated their round one, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy feat. I think they'll be going against the winner of Stale Nuts and Diamond Eagles. And the one thing I know, you know, they were able to beat Diamond Eagles, I believe. But Diamond Eagles have been on a heater. They're one of those teams you do not want to be messing with right now. So for these teams, I think it's going to be very important that they secure this win. And you're going to winners finals at this point. Like, let's go. It's a big deal. So folks, Death Blossom up 2-0, but that doesn't tell the entire story. It's been a very close series. Grab a drink, grab a snack. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back with some more CGL Overwatch playoffs.
I hope y'all got your waters, your snacks, your devices that you're watching this stream on, because we're back for our map number 3. Reminder, match point here for Death Blossom, a 2-0 coming in for this Diamond team here. They have completed the trials and errors of Lijiang Tower. They have completed the trial of Circuit Royale. And now we move over to our third map here, Ray. And it looks like we're going over to a very, very popular mode. Flashpoint for map 3. Gonna be a interesting one, though. It's gonna be Atlas instead of your typical Suravasa.
I love myself some Atlas, so I am not going to front with you right now, Mott. So love it, but I've only casted it like maybe once. I literally could not remember the name of the purple point. I had to Google it real quick. if you know what I mean by the purple point, I think you do.
No, I cast Atlas so little. I'm on the same boat as you. Like, I know Garden, because a lot of the flashpoints have a Garden for some reason, or in general.
Yeah, I knew like Garden, Town Center, Resort, and stuff like that. But I was like, what is the purple one? And then I had to look at it like, oh, it's Bazaar.
That makes sense. It's a Bazaar, but it's just like, I rarely ever
There's
cast
a Bazaar
Atlas
point,
either.
so you know what? Fitting name.
It's purple. Like, of all things, it's purple. But in all seriousness, Atlas is the map of choice here. Again, usually you'll see Suravasa, maybe even like a sprinkle of New Junk City. But recently this week, I saw Atlas now twice, which is like not coincidence, if I do say so myself. And what's not coincidence is that Wawa Gaming are once again in the hot seat. They banned out first here, and they have previously banned out mostly towards the DPS side of things. They banned out Freya on Circuit Royale. Didn't really work too well. We had Widowmaker instead for JML, and then Sojourn as well for the character. Then we also had the Reaper ban on Lijiang Tower that mitigated a Zarya and Reaper backline, but that wasn't even what we played for Death Blossom. So if you're Wawa Gaming, what do you target? Do you want to target Uramatra and maybe force a separate mirror here? Do you want to target maybe a support as well? It's really anyone's game, but it has to work because this is map 3, Ray. Here is where they have to make their stand or they go down to losers.
Have to win the next 3 maps in a row, and the Sim ban is going to come out. I mean, not really a surprise. I mean, Deadeye between the first 2 maps. Map 1, they came out on it immediately and found extreme amounts of value. And when their backs were against the wall on that 3rd point defense for Circuit, pulled out the Sim in it, ended up getting them the hold. So it's not super surprising that we're going to see that. How does Death Blossom look to respond? Are they going to go with the tank? Are they going to go with the support? I mean, I feel like there doesn't feel, I mean, especially with the Malga already banned, I feel like there's no reason to go tank. I mean, you feel pretty comfortable in the Ramatra matchup, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. So my heart's going more toward the supports, and yeah, it looks like they're going to ban Lucio out.
That's really big too. You know, Flashpoint is all about being there quickly, and you've kind of eliminated both of the characters that get you to point A to point B quickly. Symmetra with her turret, her teleportation, of course, and then Lucio with the speed boost. And that also means that both of these teams are likely going to play some more slower backlines, some more stable backlines, right? And it comes down to who can last these fights a lot longer. There's no speed in, speed out. There's no retreat. There's no get in. There's just, oh, we're in. Now we're really, like, we have to stick it out until the very bitter end for either Death Blossom or Wawa Gaming. And I don't know if we're going to go with Juno. I think she's been a little bit weaker as of late, Ray. And even though she does have the hyper boost, which is always really nice to have anyway, I don't think she will make an appearance in lieu of the Lucio. Head-to-heads, as always, no swaps. And I like that very much. They're just going to duke it out with the same 10 people. It's all here, do or die for Wawa Gaming.
Because I was going to say, banning the Lucio is probably smart because, you know, if you can't ban the Malga, I think banning the Lucio cripples the Malga composition.
Ooh, yeah.
I think more than a lot of tanks, Malga needs that speed. It's not like you have a lot of armor and shields to work with. So if you don't put yourself in a good position to use your healing ability and to be able to get out, you need that speed to be able to reposition yourself. So it's going to make it a lot harder. So because of that, as we see from Wawa Gaming, you need some sort of speed engage, which is going to be the Juno coming in for the speed ring. And I wouldn't doubt Juno in this scenario. I don't know if you've been paying attention, Ma, a little bit, but the Juno Brig stonks have been rising.
Oh, they're back! Ray, this is my trauma. This is like my PTSD. Like
it's not like a huge like you must play it, but the stonks have risen, and they aren't gonna lock on the Juno in the end, but it's been getting more popular.
Okay, that it does check out. I think Juno Brig is relative. I like that comp a lot when it was super hyper popular, especially with that Malga. But we're gonna see the Kirika from both sides and the Brigida from Deadly Pants. Sash Castle goes in for the engagement, and Ghostly actually takes care of Pigeon during the fray, so that frontline damage is not going to be there from Wawa Gaming. Then Blossom having the Zarya and the Reaper now in full tow, meaning Mirage really is just going to be walking out with basically 100% charge at all times. What a cleanup from Death Blossom. Something from Wawa has to change though.
Yeah, the Zarya specifically into the Mauga is nasty work because you obviously can cleanse the bleed, which Mauga feeds off of to be able to heal himself with the crits and the healing he's able to do based on the damage he does. And then Zarya can just return fire with so much damage once you get that charge beam up. And then it allows Deadeye to play hyper aggressive because you can get bubbles onto your Reaper.
It's a classic duo there. JML during the fight, while Pigeon was going to a low ground, he gets up, finds Monkey in the fray on that Bastion, and there's the first off I was looking for. That Genji might be something for Wawa Gaming to look forward to using.
I think it has potential. I'm still, I mean, if you get good follow, I mean, if you get a big slam, right, and you have your Reaper and your Genji following up, that's where it comes big.
Yeah, but then the Graviton Surge right in the entryway, and unfortunately, it's just they're just sitting ducks really for Death Blossom. And Ray, these fights are happening so fast. There's almost so much going on, but so little at the same time.
It's so funny because we were joking behind the scenes before this about a 3-man cast where it's like a couch casting and you're just having a conversation while we look at these plays, and it's kind of felt like how this has gone so far. But for the side of Death Blossom, we move to Town Center for the next flashpoint, and they're going to have this Kitsune Rush. I think the difference maker for Wawa is they can throw in this rally to just get their team, get that overhealth going and make this fight easier.
Well, here's the Tidal Blast coming first from Deadeye, and that really just opens up the way for this Blossom to ideally get more than one person down, but Lord Shroom was not playing games. My man backed out, got the headshots, and then got the elimination on top of that. Deadly Pants really now shining on this Brigade, and I think the open space will actually benefit Wawa Gaming's composition a little bit more than the first round here. So, looking really good so far.
Yeah, a lot of open spaces for Wawa Gaming to be able to work with, a lot of areas for their supports to be able to play at where it's just not going to be super easy for the Zarya Brawl to be able to get on top of them. Here goes Kitsune Rush from Rai.
Not only does it continue rush, but also the Deadeye from JML. Everyone's left though. No one is being looked at, but Monkey gets a little bit called out around that pillar. The support's trying to keep each other alive in the back line, but then we divert our attention back over to the Mauga. 50% charge Zarya, not too shabby, and that being said, it's just going to be a cleanup of the century here for Death Blossom, and relatively early too. 54% is not all that shabby to flip it to.
Classic ult combo to use that Kitsune Rush to give your Cassie the speed to be able to take advantage of the high noon. And it looked like it wasn't going to get anything, but the turn around the corner at the end to get Monkey, who had the blade. So that was actually a critical target to be able to get down.
Pigeon setting up for a possible Blossom, but it's actually going to be Monkey looking into the Dragon Blade. First and foremost, hopefully trying to pop out something from Death Blossom, but finds nothing as they have nothing to expend. The cage actually goes down so early though that I don't even think Pigeon had the opportunity to slide in and use the Blossom, and JML gets the hinder and the subsequent headshot onto Pigeon. It's just such an unfortunate fight because it started off so strong for Wawa Gaming, but then Deadeye and JML together are a menace of a duo.
Despite losing Raj early in on that fight from the cage, they're able to clutch up. As we talked about, the DPS duo of Deadeye and JML is just unmatched in the Diamond division. Graviton Surge also now in Raj's back foot. We saw what they did last time with it. It's like not as impactful on this one.
All it was there for, right, Ray, was just make sure that Slash was not gonna roll in and get that touch in. What a Graviton Surge, and more so, we still got a 100% charge on that beam
That's
here.
a fair point. I didn't even see the percentage going off. You know, that's why you're here, Mod. That's why you're here.
You're not gonna touch today.
As Gardens becomes the next point that we swap to, Wawa's still going to have that combination we saw that won them the point previously with that rally and the Kitsune Rush. But Death Blossom has a lot more to deal with. They could use a Kitsune Rush with their high noon combo. Once again, you can even combo it with a Death Blossom. That was deadly back when Kiriko first came out.
Oh, but you know what's even more deadly? The combinations with this Tidal Blast. Even though the rally did get used, the stun didn't come into effect on the Deadeye as he did kind of slide out immediately. Blossom gets used in this small little engagement. The Kitsune Rush means that these shotguns are shotgunning. Beautiful cleanup from Death Blossom once again, and they still have a Deadeye to boot.
Overall, it was an expensive fight. That was Tidal Wave Blast plus your Kitsune Blossom combo in exchange for both of their support ultimates. So I think, you know, with the next fight looming, I mean, it's 50%, though. Wawa Gaming does have to move quickly because they have to reverse sweep this map and the series.
It's a lot to ask for, and this guy Nunes not doing any wonders. You barely rode behind that pillar, but Deadeye follows up beautifully from where JML started, and Deadeye ends. Wawa Gaming down one so far. They're trying to rotate over to the garden point, but it's just not going to work out, especially with no supports. Ray, I'm right there with you. 90%, 10% away to full completion. They have nothing but the skin on their backs and the clothes as well. There's the 100% I was looking for. There's a 3-0 here for Death Blossom and a 3-0 in the series. They move on to face Shelby's team in the winter finals.
And this is more of the Death Blossom we were kind of expecting. Like, they're the favorites to win the whole thing, to dominate this third map. It's hard to know, but it does... I think the compositional matchup obviously wasn't great. The Zarya into the Mauga, and the Reaper cast was just potent. But one has to question is, was the letdown from that Circuit Royale map where it was looking so good for them and then it just all fell apart? Did they run out of gas?
It's hard to say because they looked so strong and they won. And on Circuit, I'll say Circuit Royale, on Flashpoint, Mauga comps usually do work really well, in fact. But maybe it was a lack of a Lucio that you mentioned. You called it out. No Lucio, and you want to play Mauga. Mauga is kind of, you know, once he charges in, he's in. He can't do anything after that. There's no speed boost to help him safely get away from the fight. And I think Slashcatcher really felt that without the dependence on that Lucio after it had been banned out. And at that point, the longer these... And I said it's going to come down to how long can you stay in these fights. And the longer Zarya stays, the better she becomes, really.
Huge shout outs to Death Blossom. As we mentioned, they will be moving on to the winners finals to face Shelby's team, which formerly Solar Eclipse. So big rematch from the previous seasons of CGL Diamond. So that's going to be a banger of a matchup. As I will say, Solar Eclipse has been finding themselves in some dog fights this season, a lot of 3-2s, and they didn't even play Death Blossom in the mid-season grand finals because they lost to Cuddle Puddle in mid-season playoffs. So this will be the first time these teams match up in the winners finals.
So interesting. That's so crazy. There's still matchups that haven't been played since mid-season. You know, that was 4 weeks ago, almost 5 weeks ago at this point.
Not even. They didn't play in mid-season, these two teams. They haven't played each other all season.
All season?
Death Blossom and Shelby's team have not played each other yet.
Oh, this is gonna be good. Oh my god, Ray. Oh my god, Ray. Please, Diamond Team, I love you guys. Please schedule your match ASAP. I don't care when it is. I need to see this matchup immediately. As a reminder, here's the scoreboard. We went from Lijiang into Circuit into Atlas. So Control, Escort, and then Flashpoint 2-0, 3-2, and 3-0 for Death Blossom, securing them that 3-0 victory in the first of 3 series. As a reminder, here are the bans coming in as well. Hey, what would we ban on these maps? Well, here they are. We did see that Mauga get burned really early and the Reaper, but I will say I do think that Lucio ban was really detrimental to Wawa Gaming's success.
Couldn't agree with you more. But with that, folks, we are going to be throwing it to a quick break, as we will be having an interview with a winning player from the winning side of Death Blossom. So don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss that. We'll be right back.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with this series concluding in a 3-0 fashion. It was not without some blood being spilled, some tears some tears being cried, and then some sweat being sweat. With that being said, we have our beautiful interviewee coming in here. We have Tool, the coach of Death Blossom, coming in, really showcasing that expertise for the team in securing that 3-0 victory. Tool, I know you're as happy as we are to see that Death Blossom has continued in their journey of being practically undefeated in the series. Is this something you continue to expect to see as we near out the rest of playoffs?
Probably. I don't know. Like, I haven't seen anything that crazy from anybody else. So, just in my opinion, I expect us to be dominant the rest of the season.
All right, for me, I felt like Wawa really gave you guys a run for your money on those first two maps. Third map obviously was a wash for you guys. You guys just absolutely destroyed that. But what was going on in the mind of the players? Were they surprised that Wawa came at them so hard in those first two maps?
No, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, you make it this far, you should be at least competent enough to be making maps close, right? So I kind of expected him to make it somewhat close because I know their coach over there, and I know a lot of the guys over there, and they're good people. They're coached by a good, smart person who's on my Masters tier team that I also coach. Shout out to the Fallen. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I expected them to play well. CJ is kind of tired. Ghostly is kind of tired of his Freya getting banned and him getting target banned because he had one really good map on Freya. Now no one lets him play it, but I suppose that's how things go, sadly. So
I feel you. All right, just looking forward into the bracket. Next, you guys obviously have Shelby's team, formerly Solar Eclipse. You guys have a lot of history with them. How are you guys feeling? You guys haven't even played them this season, which to me is mind-blowing. How do you guys feel about your matchup going into the winners finals?
I mean, like I said, I feel like we're pretty confident in what we do. We're really flexible. We can do a lot of things. We can troll. We can play real comps. I don't know, man. You name it, we can play it. So I think we're ready to show our flexibility off some more and flex our muscles a little bit more in this winners finals.
Okay, and I can't wait to see that come out as you guys do enter into that winners finals against Shelby's team. With that being said, if you want, of course, as I love to ask, if you guys want to give a shout out to anyone onto the stream, this is your chance to do so right now.
Shout out to my fiance. She's amazing, always supporting me and everything. I love her. She is my wifey. She's fiance, but that's only like legally fiance. So I'd say she's my wifey. She always supports me. Also shout out to my team, obviously. Both of my teams I want to shout out. Not only just DB, but the Fallen. And shout out to Cuddle. Go Cuddle.
Love that. With that being said, Tool, thank you so much for the insight. Thank you so much for your time. And again, please schedule that match ASAP. I need to see how this winners finals, kind of turns out between Death Blossom and Shelby's team. I need it. So go schedule it, please, ASAP. With that being said, I will see you next time on the stream, and maybe even after that into the grand finals. But I digress. I'll see how y'all do.
No, we'll be grand finals. Also,
I'll see.
I'm sorry,
how
I forgot
you
one
do.
person. I forgot one person. Shout out to my friend Pancakes. I forgot to shout him out, so I'm gonna shout him out. Shout out to him.
We'll see you.
He doesn't like waffles, if you can't tell.
What's wrong with waffles? You know what? You're waffling. I will see you next time, Tool, and I cannot wait to see how you guys do in your next matchup for Winners Finals.
Alrighty, thank you guys. Y'all have a good night.
No
You too.
problem. You guys too. And Ray, that is the end of tonight's broadcast. For now, as a reminder, there's a couple of more series happening on other channels. Not even on other channel, on this channel, right? In about 1 hour.
Oh, and CGL 2, we currently have a game still going
Ooh,
on
yes.
between the Zodiacs and YE Snowfall. So, oh, I guess it ended. We got an update that it was 2-0, but I guess it's 3-0. So I guess you could turn in and go see the interview for that. Maybe catch the highlights. Sorry, just checking the watch. In 50 minutes, we will be live on CGL 1 with the third match. EIG Hunters going up against Cuddle Puddle. Loser is eliminated. So that is going to be a big time matchup. So do not miss it. And with that, folks, just want to give some huge shout outs to our production staff on this particular one. We had the main man, Hippie, holding it down on the producing, and then we had Mara, the amazing observer, giving you all the pretty pictures. And thank you, Mott, for joining me on this broadcast. And finally, thank all of you guys for tuning in to watch this series. We just love being able to do this for you guys, and we'll see you at the next one.